Welcome back, friends. If you watched last week's video, you'll have seen us tackling some much needed upgrades to our van, including the mammoth task of redoing our ceiling cladding. This week we're carrying on with the upgrades and adding a few new decorative touches as well that we think are pretty neat. Next up, I'm going to turn my attention back to that shelf that I was building. All I've got to do now is put it up, basically, which is going to involve putting up a couple of brackets, but as I've mentioned previously, we've got a kind of different way that we're going to install it, and I'll show you what I mean. One of the really good things about documenting your van builds on YouTube or Instagram or anything is that you end up with pictures and videos of exactly what you've done at every stage. So that means that you can figure out how things went together if you've forgotten, and exactly where things like cross beams are if you need to know that. So this is really helpful for me building this shelf because I want to make it as secure as possible, really. And it turns out that actually looking back at the photographs and videos from when we built the van, we've only got one crossbeam in this wall. It's actually a really hollow wall because there's no insulation in it. There wasn't any need for it to be structural. It's not holding anything up. So it's literally just got cladding on one side, a bit of ply on the other side, and then that is covered in the PVC panels that we use to waterproof the bathroom. So as I'm saying, it's really helpful that we've actually got the photographs and the videos from when we put it together, because otherwise I wouldn't have known where that crossbeam was. As it is, I know that it's underneath the fourth piece of cladding, so I can screw into that with confidence that it's going to go into the crossbeam, and that'll make the shelf nice and secure. This is pretty much where I want the first bracket, so I'm going to just drill a little pilot hole there, get this screwed in and take it from there.
Come on then, move out of the way. The real van builder's here now.
Look at you and your work clothes and everything.
Yeah, I'm ready. Ready to go. Alright, so one of the upgrades that we are doing in this space down here is painting a blackboard just basically onto the plywood there, so that Ada can use the area as a drawing space, so she can sit on the step, use her chalks, and yeah, just do some drawing. Thought it might be a nice little space for her. Dead simple then. I'm just going to use some tape to tape a squared area and then paint inside that area with some blackboard paint. Okay, that's all taped up then, so just going to paint it. Just going to get another coat on this then because it's looking a little bit patchy, but I think it's looking pretty good so far. Now the tape says you're supposed to take it off immediately, not wait for the paint to dry completely. So I think that second coat is going to do it. So let's see if this has worked and if we've got a nice neat edge. Whoa, looking good so far. Well, even if I do say so myself, I think that looks blooming smart. I think she's gonna love it. Next up then is to reseal the sink. Basically the plug hole area, it's just a little bit loose, and it looks like it's been leaking a little bit underneath when you go in the cupboard. So yeah, just gonna basically dismantle that, take all the silicone off and give it another good dose of silicone. That literally just came out then, it just all unscrewed and just came to bits very easily. So yeah, the seal's definitely gone. So gonna get that all cleaned up and a new one put back on. I have spared you the viewing of me cleaning the, I don't know, sink cheese out of the drains. It was absolutely minging. So yeah, didn't film that. Now I've just got to figure out how to put this little lovely lot back together and remember where all the seals went. If you were watching our adventures in Spain while we were in Madrid, you'll know that we had a leak on our diesel heater. Not that we were using it at the time, but we knew there was a leak, obviously, because you can smell it. So went in the back and yeah, there was a few damp patches that were forming. There were a couple of places that I identified that might be the issue. So the first one was the filler cap, basically the rubber seal, and the like little air hole grommet thing that's in there had just completely perished. So potentially what was happening is as we were driving, like the diesel was just like literally like sloshing up and out of the hole that's in the cap to let the air out. And then also the filter, two ends of it, it's just like a plastic filter, so the two ends of it had potentially a bit of a leak coming from, because the rubber tubing had been put quite tight around the plastic piping and it had kind of cracked it at both sides. So what I did at the time was I just took the filter off and like kind of clipped the pipe up and then emptied the diesel tank, so there wasn't any diesel in the tank, just like a little bit within the heater and the rest of the pipe, and that's been fine. But it is obviously September now and getting a bit cold, so we are going to need to get this heater working again. So we've got a new filter that I'm going to put on, and also when that happened in Spain, someone from our YouTube community reached out and said, hey, I've got a spare tank that you are welcome to have. Turns out he didn't live very far away from where my mum and dad are, where we're based, so been by and picked up a new tank. Thanks, Mark, so kind of you, really appreciate it. I was thinking maybe, I've just checked it, if the cap was going to go on our old one, our old tank. It doesn't. That would have been too easy, wouldn't it? So yeah, I need to replace the tank as well, and hopefully that is going to be us all set up for the colder weather. Okay, so just taking the old tank off, I'll just show you where it was leaking, because it's still not dried. So you can see it all along that side there, coming down and onto this bit here, but also up that side there. So it still smells quite a bit of diesel in here, but you can't smell it in the living space, so it's fine. I guess it'll just go away over time, hopefully, anyway. So yeah, the pump's just there. I'm assuming that all still works fine. I just clipped the line up there out of the way, so I need to just move that back down. The filter goes down here, so I'll put that back on, and yeah, get it all hooked up. First up then, I need to put a new one of these onto the new tank, but I need to figure out what size hole we need. So I'm just going to do a little test here in this plastic tub to make sure that I don't make it too big. So this is the new filter. Basically what had happened on the old one is when we'd put the fuel pipe on to the ends here, we'd basically just tightened the Jubilee clips too tight, so it'd squash the little plastic ends, and that's where the leak was coming from, we think anyway. So yeah, need to pop a new one of these on. Okay, I didn't film putting this together in here because it's just too small a space to be working in, but there you have it. There's the filter fixed onto the tank and onto the fuel pipe that runs up into the pump. So just need to fill the tank up with diesel now and check it all works. If you want to see how we installed our diesel heater as a whole, I'll put a link up here so that you can watch that. Really recommend getting one of these LED work lights, by the way. It's USB chargeable and it has like a little stand on it, and a hook and magnets on the back so that you can attach it like to the underside of the van or the side of the van or wherever you're working basically. I use it a lot here in the garage, even though we've got lights in here. When you're working in like a little dark corner needing to look at something that's quite small, like a little screw or something like that, really, really helpful. I'll put a link in the description to the one that we've got. Right, diesel's in. We had to go get some because, well, we didn't have any. Time to turn this on. Well, it started, so we'll see how it goes, see if any errors pop up. Right, we've got a leak coming from the filter, which unfortunately means that I probably haven't tightened it tight enough. So, yeah, there's that. Take number 2 with the diesel heater then. So as you saw, there was diesel leaking everywhere. Basically, I was in the front waiting for an error to come on the diesel heater control panel. And I don't know, I just didn't even think about checking that it wasn't leaking in the back. And then when I thought to go in, obviously, as you saw, there was diesel everywhere. It was leaking from at least 2 points, maybe 3 points, and I tried to tighten it up, but I couldn't really do it because there was diesel covered on all the screws and everything by that point. So I ended up taking the tank off, emptying it, and just taking everything back off basically, because it was already getting quite late and I needed to go and put Adie to bed. So yeah, we are back where we were before that, with no tanking and no filtering. So yeah, I'm gonna try and get it fixed today instead. So yeah, it's back off. This was obviously filled with diesel, which was a right pain to get off and emptied back into here. Spilt loads of it, so that's quite annoying. But yeah, what's going on? So this joint seemed to be okay. There didn't seem to be any leaks coming out of that, which is good. But this was definitely leaking, and this was definitely leaking. So that would make sense that I just haven't tightened either of those enough. But this one seemed to be leaking as well, which I had actually tightened quite a lot. But it was like all wet around this end here, so I couldn't really figure out if it was like running down here from the pump actually, which I hope it isn't. So I think I'm going to put a new piece of this on because I can kind of feel like a few little rough bits on here. I don't think that's where it would be leaking from, but I don't know. Anyway, we've got plenty of this, so I'll change that. Retighten that joint back up again nice and tight. I think I'm going to take this off and just kind of see if that's not screwed on right or anything like that, and just, yeah, put it all back together and put it back in again, and hopefully it doesn't leak this time. Right, everything's back in place, much tighter this time. So this is the new line that I've put on, and I've changed this joint as well. So yeah, I'm just going to leave this loose for the time being, and there's a clip that also goes on there, but I will put a little bit of diesel in first and then we'll see if it works before we start fastening other things back on. Okay, so we'll watch it from back here this time. Put some kitchen roll under just in case, but fingers crossed guys, I really don't have the patience for this not to work this time. Ready? Here we go. Right, the pump's just started, you should be able to hear that. So the filter is now going to start filling with diesel. Right, Right, the filter is full. You can see the diesel maybe just starting to work its way up the fuel pipe there into the fuel pump. And so far, so good. Okay, so new problem. Doesn't look like there's a leak, but the heater just turned off and now it's got an error message on it, E08. So yeah, I need to look up what that means. Okay, so an E08 error is lack of fuel apparently, which makes sense, even though I didn't do it yesterday. But yeah, obviously part of the fuel line and the filter and all that was empty with diesel, so obviously it takes a while to pump through. I've just turned the heater back on because obviously it was pumping through, so it's getting through there, and before the heater turns on it always starts like chugging, pumping through some diesel, so hopefully it's just going to work this time. So you should be able to hear the pump working there. Still looking okay in terms of leaks from this vantage point, so we wait. Okay, it's been running for a few minutes now and we have definitely got heat, and I don't think any leaks. Yes, finally. Yep, no leaks. Amazing. So I'll just get that clip put back on and the tank fastened back onto here with these screws through those holes there, and we are done. Right, that's it. All the repairs and alterations are done. So all that's left to do now is give the van a deep clean and we will be ready for our next adventures. So I've already just done the cab, given that a good vacuum, a good dust, shined the windows up. So that is all spick and span and ready to go. Now onto the back. Things I've got to do is give all the white woodwork a good scrub down, get all the marks off it, wash these seat covers, give the floor a good scrub. Need to clean the oven, clean the fridge, clean the fan. Yeah, it's not going to be a very exciting day, but I think it's going to feel really good when it's done. When I say a deep clean, I mean we are cleaning everything. So all in the garage, all this dust all down here. It's really difficult to get down there and clean when the mattress is on, which is why I've taken it off and the slats off.
Well, that's it for this week. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then you know what to do. Bash the thumbs up button and drop us a comment down below. And if you're not subscribed, then why not do that too? We'd love to have you on board, and tap that little bell button while you're there so you get notified every time we post a new video. Next week, we're finally hitting the road again and heading to one of our favourite places on the planet for the start of our next big adventure. Catch you then.